Well, good evening. It's Friday the 7th of September and we're just going to have a walk around our Dahlia fields at Halls of Heddon, which if anybody is in the area over the next few days, you'll probably know that it's a place that's well worth coming to have a look at. As the evening sun is starting to set behind the trees, the first few bits are in shade, but that will give you a general view across the fields at the moment and everything looking extremely colourful. So in the front here we have the ever popular Bishop of Llandaff, one of the oldest varieties that we have in our catalogue and currently looking the best I've seen it for a number of years, so that has really enjoyed this summer. I've not seen them growing up to 4 foot before. Normally it's about, with me, they're 1 point about 3 foot. And Blue Bayou, which is just starting to flower now, so that'll be another week before that'll be showing really well. Just beyond that, one of the more popular medium semi-cactuses that we do, Whitman Superba, and beyond that you have Ruskin Michelle, and just looking across the field there on the following rows it's all the medium decks and medium cactus. I keep mentioning this variety, which is one of our own seedlings, Hadrian's Midnight. It's just so free flowering. The bees love it, and even though it's a colder day today, there's still one or two buzzing around. And Hadrian's Sunset is another of ours, very, very dark leaved one. With these lovely, here we go, that's more like the colour of it, like burnt orange flowers with a glowing red centre. This variety is a more compact one for giving you some good garden colour, which is a variety called Mayan Pearl, raised by Ken Stock at Bournemouth. And then beyond these you've got the collarettes, Anne Breckenfelder with Mary Eveline, and then the bright and colourful Pooh just beyond that. And then a few water lilies and collarettes. But just how colourful is that for a lovely September evening? You got Honker Red, this is one of the star dahlias. As I'm standing in the shadow. Then from here you can see right across to the other side of the field. In total there's about 4,000 dahlias on this main plot, which is divided into two sections with a bit of a hedge windbreak in between. Not much of one now since we took the great big Lelandii out, but it's made it look so much more impressive. The one thing you'll note about where we have the mediums, the Deccan Cactus, is that there are no covers, that everything is in the open, and this has to have been one of the best years for growing stuff like outside for us. So we'll have to excuse the wind, just getting up a little bit. This is Val's Candy. And that's not a bad crop of blooms off 20 plants. I'm just hoping there's enough there for when we start cutting for Harrogate next week. They've come very, very early all of a sudden, which is giving me a little bit of grief and anxiety. Although there are plenty others to come. We only need 600 blooms, 700 blooms to take to Harrogate, so I'm sure we'll find that. Sorbet. This is Rycroft Helen, All the plants down there around about 4.5 foot or so. Again, you know, bear in mind these are outside. A damn good variety, dare I say. Yeah, there's a few little bits of dirt blown in from the hedges today because the winds have been up a little bit. And then this is Ruskin Michelle. Normally Kenora Sunset is one of the stars of our Daily Fields Now a Standard Harrogate. This was, dare I say, a little bit dirty early on because of the problems we were having with thrip damage, but it has come into its own now. And this variety we've been cutting for a while, which is Kenora Wow. It's here in the shadow of a great big sycamore tree behind us here. Kilburn Fiesta. I know for a few of these to be ready next week for Harrogate. Le Feu de Soleil. Even these Normandy Wedding Day, which are quite prone to marking, are standing up very, very well this year. Nice crop of those there. I know for a few of those to be left again for next week. And I do wish I had some of these Normandy frills. Wish these had been ready for me to take down to Wisley. But they just weren't far enough out. So much more filmed when they're outside rather than under cover. Very, very noticeable. And the blooms are obviously a bit further out there. This is Pooh. Very popular colorette. And then we have Susan Gilbert. Really good bright yellow. I could be here all night filming all of these, but there's just so much colour. Dahlia, an old medium semi-cactus. And then behind that the slightly paler Clates Candy. Still has a pink tinge, but nowhere near as deep as the Val's Candy that we first looked at. And Corson George there is still developing. And then we have Cream Moonlight, which to be honest is a flower that does much better when it's got a bit of cover on. It never really gets the shape outside, tends to be a little bit decky in its petals. Clearview Louise. That must be one of my favourites. This one is Hillcrest Candy. So easy. And there's Grenador Pastel. And Eastwood Moonlight. And this naturally short one, Cleo Lane, is such an outstanding colour. Really good at the front of a border, and that wind is getting up. just walk through a few of the medium decks. You got Berwick wood here, growing about 4 foot. And Charlie too. And then this one coming up is Hillcrest Delight. They're just having a bit swing round on this plot, and you can just see the amount of colour that's here. You know, as for the first weekend in September, I don't think I've ever seen, to be honest, this amount of colour. So this is the other half of that main plot. And we're looking at the water lilies at the moment with Bracken Ballerina and Cameo. We don't do so much disbudding on these ones, just leaving them to grow naturally. Everything's been gone through once, and now we're just like let them come. Anything we were disbudding now isn't probably going to be flowering until the end of September, and we could have a frost before then. So Carolina Moon, you got Charlie Dimmock, and then just coming up, lovely rich coloured Christopher Taylor. And the bright yellow beyond is Glory Van Heemstede. With Gwyneth coming up. And then a variety that we struggled to get enough plants out of this year, but they're looking really good now, which is an old one we had in the catalogue, dropped it and then brought it back in again, which is Ken's Rarity. And beyond these you've got the smaller miniature decks, the small miniature cactus, the small miniature ball, and then the poms at the far side. I'm probably very biased, but I don't think there's a much better site than this in Northumberland this weekend. As part from there's the Great North Run, I suppose, on Sunday. Yeah, they're looking forward to that. Well, I'm not, because I don't run. Here's a few of Barry Davies's varieties, which will continue to do well for us. Barbary Pip. Lovely rich burgundy red of Barbary Sultan, and then a bit later flowering, this one here will be Barbary Drum. You got Barbary Delegate again, a little bit later flowering. And Barbary Demore. And for the garden, just behind there you got David Howard, and the purple and white of Edinburgh, and then a good reliable exhibition one there is Decara Superb. Spoilt for choice, I think. I find it so hard every year trying to work out which new ones to bring in, and if I bring new ones in, I've got to think of dropping one or two out of the catalogue. Yeah, I'm very impressed with this year. Again, bearing in mind they're outside. Got a nice block of Creme Diane there, no protection. And then that's the yellow just beyond there's Roger Turrell, which does better for me outside. Brian's Dream with Marston Suzanne just behind there. Good block of Marston Lilac, and an old favourite raised by the late Joe Kidd. This is Carstone Ruby. Here you've got Blighton Romance, one of Les Stoddart's. There's not many good small decks of this colour, although it hasn't got quite the form you need for the exhibition. I have seen it on the bench, but it, you know, the colour of it is what attracts me, and its reliability. Here's Blighton Golden Girl. And this hasn't looked so good for us as it does this year. This is Blighton Everest. You've had a bit of rain over the last few days, so you thought they would have suffered, but now they're all looking okay. Then we have Barbary Vulcan just coming on. And then just cropping up here, almost too dark to see on the camera, is Marston George. It's not a bad bloom there. Jump along a little bit and go through some of the small miniature cactus. This is the early flower in Kilmorey. Good stems, good early blooms. And I'll watch it if I go on a bit oversized for those that exhibiting, but it's always reliable. And then we've got Kiwi Gloria with Sherwell Gold Crest. And I say we can see all of these are, none of them covered. Some of the miniature cactus showing up a bit dark, I'm afraid. That's like Western Buccaneer and Western Pirate as we go past we're going past Lavender Line and Lemon Elegans. Oakwood Gold Crest there. I'm walking past these and hoping there's still a few blooms left for cutting on next Wednesday. I'm sure there will be. Maybe not of these varieties, but there'll be some. Doris Day, my favourite, has to be, from way back. Just remember this as a kid, growing up with it. You got Greenway Zoe, and for the garden you've got Parkland Rave. This one, Les Jackson's Hillcrest Jersey. And then some of the Jasudis that we have in the catalogue. This one's Jasudi Aurora, which has been quite a number of blooms cut back of that, even it's a miniature. We've been doing quite a lot of dead Heddon this week. Jasudi Hercules. Then to my left here we've got Ruskin Myra, and the fairly similar, certainly in a few weeks time when the colour starts fading, Rycroft Zoe. Just got to watch that one that it doesn't go too far oversize. And then Jasudi Neptune, just released by us this year, with Jasudi Telstar. Here you got some of the Poms. That's Winky Lambrusco with some of the other varieties in the background there. Bewillow's Violet just starting to come. Rowan's violet, some more willows now, some more winky lambrusco. There's our Megan Dean. The red behind there be Carstone Valiant with Mary's Jamander. There's Rycroft Bella here. Sorry, no, that's Clearview Daniel. And that's Rycroft Bella just starting there. These are some extra plants. We have got a block further down of those. Tom Cleghorn's variety late. There was a story as to why he called it that, but it's one of the earliest blooming ones on our plot. And Barbary Primrose Hall with Small World behind, Rycroft Blackberry, and Rhonda there. And here we've got Westerton Folly and a Gordon Hodgson. There's Newlands Josephine and Miss Kennedy with Noreen just in front of that, and then Jamander itself. This is flowering for us very well this year. It's Ivanetty, an old but a true ball dahlia. And just quick skim around from this plot. This is Rycroft Bella. You can see some more of the poms behind there. There's more Moonlight, Martin's Yellow, Minley Carroll, Lakeland Polly. This is Ruskin Tangerine, normally one of the later ones. Don't sometimes see flowers on this until mid-September. But here we are, flower now. Rossendale Natasha. The pom Jodie Wilkinson there. Cornell and Clearview Daniel. And I do like this variety, Sherwell in it. And then you've got Raspberry Valiant, another ball from, well, it was a sportive Carstone Valiant. These are just one or two seedlings we have on trial, a couple of anemone varieties. Quite like this yellow one. This was from a gentleman, Alan Tomlinson, over in Cumbria, and this is one of our own seedlings, a bit different with that on the back. This variety is Creme De Cassis. Which grows to around about 75 centimetres. Good bedding variety, or good one to pot. When I get a chance, I'll do a more fuller one of all the trial varieties, but just have a quick walk through these. The Jasudi ones, I've got my timing a bit wrong. They're all coming just a little bit late for what I was intending, but sometimes that happens. This one's interesting because this was a seedling of ours last year. Alan's Pink Delight. It'll be nice to see how that develops over the next few days. Certainly the stems are okay. Certainly the petal count seems to be alright, but what it'll be like when they're fully opened we'll have to see. Then we've got some of the Jasudi varieties. This is Judy Pluto, which is very free flowering, probably one of the naturally smallest, the true miniature, dare I say. Blooms are just a little bit young at the moment on it. This is an American variety called Petalicious. Sorry, whizzed round a little bit too quickly there. And Normandy Memories from John Willett. And Judy Borealis, Judy Titan, Judy Sunburst there, and then new introduction for this year is Judy Andromeda, which you'll notice we haven't disbudded any of these this year, they just left a flower. Tried this variety of Les Jacksons a year or two ago, Hillcrest Jonathan, and we decided to give it a second go, and that's in our list for next season. Very good cut flower. It actually has pretty good form as well. Be interesting to see if anybody was brave enough to put it on the show bench. But it does last well in water. This one we only planted a few plants last year. It's from Alan Fisher in America. It's an unnamed seedling as yet. Was looking at it yesterday. Very nice form, just trying to work out whether it's going to have enough petal to it. There's Asquith Liam, and I'm just going to whip down to this dark red here, which is Blighton Garnet on trial from Les Stoddart. Now, sometimes when you pick a new variety from somewhere and you decide to try something different, you never know quite what to expect. So this is one of the Stella varieties called Tartan. Can't quite make my mind up. It's bright, but it's not a very free flowering variety, and we'll see this one better on the other side. I think I'll turn it around. This is Lady Darlene, or supposed to be Lady Darlene, but it's not like the pictures that I've seen. But we shall see. Again, a one from America. Flowers a bit lost in the foliage here. That's Just Married. An interesting form on this next one, which is Hilltop Lost Treasure. And then back to our normal range of varieties. This is Purple Duncan Edwards, the Sport of Hillcrest Duncan Edwards, which was Les Jackson's. Far better this year. All those plants are standing about 4 foot. So yeah, this main plot you probably gathered already is a giant Deccan cactus section. So just a quick look through, you got Jean Shaw starting to flower. There's Zorro, and behind that Deborah Ann Craven, which is some very big blooms on that. I got Louis Megos, and you'll notice a lot of these are just flowering outside as well without any protection. I've got a few more under cover behind the various ones. Candy Keen and Reg Keen, they're all varieties. And then this is Silver City, old variety, but there's some very nice blooms on this at the moment. Always late, blackjack, but the foliage makes that nice. Not a bad bloom in the middle there of Jim Brannigan, say outside, remember, and then Rose Jupiter. Here's Westerton Lillian here just starting to flower. Quickly whip through the covered areas. So that's Gabby Hayes' variety Jubilee Boy with Steve Megos there. Those two are on trial, and then we've got Jane Alamy. We've got Kenora Challenger growing okay. And behind that, if you can see them, Bonaventure trying to escape, I think, where that's grown at the minute. They're going to be touching the roof next week. Yeah, there you go, there's a view from the top end of the nursery, looking down. And then a very quick walk through the last top covered area. So we've got John Sharp's seedling Eastwood How's That, and then Ernie Corkwell's Asquith Edna. Bless him, that's do like this one. And Eastwood Kudos. And Derek Cave's Grace Wood there with Dave Reed's Barlaston Beauty behind. Some of these are at the trials, so you might have seen them or come across them last year. There's Nenakazi coming on. Normandy Delight from John Willett, which I'm hoping to have some of those for next week. So hoping I was going to have Kenora Mac up as well. I've got, but that's not going to be flowering. And we got Rossendale Jojo. La Fer de Soleil, behind that's Rycroft Gladiator. Normandy Frills, Spennythorn Georgia May, and you've got another American variety AC Shiitake, which we'll see how that goes next week. This is Gordon's Westerton Sunset. Unfortunately, I planted them in some of them in the wrong place, so I've got some Westerton Pearl in here as well. And then we've got Normandy Wedding Day, the white Hillcrest Candy just at the back there, with a few Rycroft Helen grown inside, and then some Gateshead Gateshead Festival stock.